demonstration is Joe Werner. Joe, you want to come up here and wire yourself up?
Yeah. Yep, I do. Okay, can you hear me okay? Fine? Great, testing, all right. And I will repeat any questions, right? We'll do that. All right, guys, let me get my stuff straight out here first. Find out where I'm at. I did one of these years ago, and then I did another one, and it's been a couple years since I did that. It's tips that I come up with. And nobody brought me tips. Only one person brought me any tips, and that was Jim. So we'll go over his. And if anybody else has any tips or any ideas or anything, let me know. Because we all do things differently and all. Okay. I'm going to give you one of the biggest tips, and that is come to the meetings, because this is where we learn. One of the things is Larry Miller. I just wanted to bring it up. I know a couple of you guys. I've talked to him today, and his shoulder. He's in a lot of pain. If you didn't know that, he had tendons done in his left arm, and he is really in a lot of pain, but he'll survive, as he says, And you don't know when Larry's demo's coming up. I guess we don't know that. But anyway, it's going to be a good demo, because he's going to do something like another way to sand or something like that. He was showing me, and someone.
Didn't the schedule say Chuck's?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what Larry told me 2 days ago.
He's going to change it? Okay. Okay, good enough. Good enough. He's not ready for the sanding thing then. Okay, good. But anyway, whatever, it's going to be a good one as normal. And just with that in mind, keep him in our prayers, and also John Wadle. The last I heard, he had a hole in his bowel, so he's not doing too good. He's been in the hospital for months, I guess, now. Okay, we were talking one time here, I think it was at the last meeting, about, is that for me? Is that It's all right, Bart. Is that the president? Or your wife?
One of his patients.
One of his patients.
He's on the roof.
You didn't know what he did for a living, so maybe you wouldn't want to be one of his patients. I don't know. We were talking about steel wool, and one of the things that I wanted to say that who was talking about? You were talking about steel wool, yeah, Dennis. Yeah, you had a question. Yeah, and
what? I still use it because, I know years and years.
In the old days, we used to use steel wool. I'm sure there's people that still do it today. But anyway, for wood and all, I like to use these here abrasive non-woven pads. You can get different grits. Here's the green is aught, and the maroon is double aught. The gray, which I use a lot, is triple aught, and the white is 4-aught, and it's very fine. But they work really nice. One thing, the way I use this is, yeah, the green is like Scotch Brite. Yeah. Is that cheaper to get it at the store, or maybe Super Grit, or don't you know?
Don't know.
Okay.
I just buy it at the store. The white stuff I buy at Super Grit.
Yeah. What happened is back in September of 2014, we were given a little demonstration, and somebody brought up steel wool, and And Bill, Bill Fordney, he brought up about this abrasive non-woven pads. And next thing you know, in about, I don't know, I was questioning him about it, and 3 or 4 days later, it comes a package from Bill and Barb Fordney, and here they sent me a pad and a catalog page. So I always thank you for that. But now I get it at Super Grit. I get all this, and they come in sizes about 6 by 9, something like that, and then I cut them to when I use them. But how can you tell? Like you put, not what I do anyhow with my bowls, I'll go ahead and put a coat of tung oil on, and then I'll let it sit for overnight or something like that. But you want to see if it's good and dry, so you go ahead and use this pad, and then if it has white flakes in here, you know that is dry. If it isn't white flakes, then you know it's not ready to put on the second coat. So that's one of you. I know we were talking about steel wool, and that's what we have here. And Super Grit, by the way, is in Gettysburg. Just let you guys know, if they you can go online or you can get down there and buy. They're not open on Saturdays, are they? I don't think I know it's one thing they aren't. Another thing what I found interesting is let me get my sandpaper out here. Is I have foam pads that I use. Are different sizes for my bowls and different things that I use, you know, and a electric drill, and nice foam pad. I get this is Super Grit too, and of course you can put your sandpaper, hook and loop sandpaper right on there. But I found that these cost anywhere, the 2 and 3 inch ones, you get it at like a woodcraft store, it costs about 40 cents a piece. But if you go ahead and buy the sheets at Super Grit and cut them yourself, they're easy to cut, and they only end up to less than 10 cents a piece. So it's quite a savings to do that. I usually take a hole saw, like this is a 2 inch, because you want to get this is about 2.5 inch round, so it flexes. So you're going around a corner or something like that, it flexes. I usually go ahead and have a hole saw. Right, here's one. I put it on a hole saw there and trace it around there, and then I just take my scissors and just cut it right out. It's quite a savings though. In a half hour you can cut a lot of these up. And of course, your hook and loop, they come in all kinds of different grits. And Nick, you familiar with this little box here? Feed your cats?
Yep.
Okay. Diane, his wife, feeds a lot of cats, so anyway, he gave me a bunch of these, and that's where I put my put these pads in. It's a good thing to have around. Okay, since Jim he's the only one that gave me any tips, I'll read a few of them for you. Okay, Jim has here, wrap sandpaper around Scotch-Brite for a soft, flexible pad. Jim, you mean you just go ahead and sandpaper around one of these? And
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that. You wouldn't know this, Nick, would you? I mean, you not really, okay. Worked in the Mercersburg Academy there, and what they used these there was buffing floors, and that's the center of it. So the guys in there, they were throwing them away. I thought, hey, wait a minute, I'll take them. So I do wrap sandpaper around that, or different things, but anything soft, comes in real handy. Okay, now this, Jim, I don't know. Drill a golf ball to fit your live center to pinch without putting a hole. Go ahead and explain.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm turning the bottom of a bowl, or even just rough turning for the tenon, I'll pinch it up against my chuck or against the faceplate, and if you run in with your tailstock with a center, you end up with a divot there. Well, your tailstock, some of them are about an inch in diameter or 3/4 inch in diameter. Just drill that size hole in a golf ball, slip it over your tailstock so it covers that point, and then pinch it between your tailstock and your faceplate.
You do the same thing with a softball if you need a bigger one.
Yeah.
Baseballs and softballs work well like that.
And if you have a flat surface, you can get a 3/4 inch bushing and you'll stick it over the end, and then you'll have a flat surface.
So if we come out to your shop, you give us a nice title list, you drill a hole in there?
Yeah.
Okay, Jim plays a lot of golf.
Softballs, I got about 5,000 of them.
You got 5,000 softballs, we'll bring them in.
Golf balls.
Oh, golf balls. I'm assuming you golf. That's why you have,
From when I did.
that's why you have golf balls, huh? Okay, Jim, there you got here, white bed with wax paper to help tailstock and banjo slide. I haven't tried that one.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll wax my machines, but you can get a lot quicker by just taking a piece of wax paper and rubbing your ways of your machine, and that'll give you some lubricant for your cross slide and your tailstock.
Have to try that. Yeah, I just squirt on some WD, but yeah, WD's messier. Yeah. Okay, and Jim got here, drill a hole through your jam chuck to help remove parts from the back. That's a good one.
That is, I can't tell you how many times I put stuff on a jam chuck, and then it's hard as the devil to get off, and you end up trying to pry it off with a screwdriver, and you're worried about damaging it. If you have a hole drilled through it, which I usually think of after I'm done turning, but if you drill the hole before you put your part on that jam chuck, you just go through the tailstock, your hollow spindle, and push it out from the back.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay, now you can explain this one. Parting tools work best as a cutting tool, not a scraper. Go and explain what you really mean by that.
Well, you did about as good as I can, Joe. But, I see a lot of people using a parting tool when they're trying to cut something off, and they just push it straight in, and it's acting more as a scraper. If you want to get a good finish with your parting tool, start high and use it as a cutter. Come down into the wood and actually cut it. Don't scrape it. It'll do a lot better job for you.
Yeah, that's a definite. Yep. Yep. And this is like common sense, but it's a good one to know. A white pencil for dark wood if you're marking it. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, use 2 live centers to rough position bowl blanks. You can go ahead and...
Yeah, when I do my bowls, if at all possible, I like to see symmetry in them. I like to see the center. When you look at the bowl and see the grain pattern, I like it to be centered left and right and fore and aft both. And in order to do that, you just can't buy a bowl blank from Woodcraft or something and slap it on you, because those guys, they're not worried about that when they cut them. But if you put your blank between two centers and then just spin it, you can tilt it, get the best grain position, move it left and right, up and down, and then when you get it to where you want it, mark where that center is and then attach it permanently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. You use your chuck by itself as a jam chuck with padding.
Yeah, I'll sometimes if I have rough turned a bowl blank and I want to put redo the tenon on it after it's dried, I would take that piece of your non-abrasive
Yeah.
I'll just have my chuck, put this over it. Just put this over my chuck, put my rough bowl blank up against it, and bring in the tailstock, and then turn. And and if you're smart about it, you will turn it with a tenon to fit the chuck you already got on, and then you just turn it around and you're ready to go. Make your bowl.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, what I do in that's a good one, Jim. One thing I do is I take a drill and I put this here pad on. I guess I bought this from Harbor Freight, And got this pad here, Velcro. And I'll do kind of the same thing as Jim's doing, and then my bowl will go over this. You know, it's soft and like that. What's that now?
Poor man's rubber coat.
Yeah, there you go. It comes in handy, yep. Oh, let's see, what else do we have here? Faster is better to a point.
Okay, for those of us that were here when the fella did was he doing smears or whatever?
I don't know.
You remember that guy that we had that,
Yeah. Yeah, he belongs to the York Club.
yeah. He might have been going a little fast, but for most of the turning that I do, you'll get a better finish and easier cutting if you crank that speed up a little bit. When a lot of turners turn too slow in my mind, and your tool won't work as nice. You'll get more catches, and you won't get as nice a finish. So I don't go as fast as my machine will go, like some people, but I will crank it up, and if I don't have any vibration, and I'm not, yeah, what was that? One of the pros said that if the lathe ain't shaking and I'm not shaking, you're okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Put it up till it scares you.
yeah. If you're not shaking, or the lathe is not shaking, you're gonna slow down. Yeah, yeah.
One of the tips
Yes.
I got from Larry here years ago was when you've got a blank that's a little wobbly off center, is to crank it up as far as you can, but have your tool laying on the bed, and you can feel the first
Oh, yeah.
vibration, and that tells you when to stop. That's, usually it's
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if you put your tool on the bed, turn it up, and if it starts shaking, and once again, if you start shaking, slow it down. Yep.
turns it off, you better stop.
If you throw it off, you better stop. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this is a good one. Keep symmetry in mind when cutting and positioning blanks. That actually had to do with live center, right? Yep. Okay, now Jim has one here about the bandsaw. Align bandsaw blade gullet, not blade to the center of wheel. You want to elaborate just a little bit on that?
Yeah, if any of you guys get to go to the Baltimore show, Alex Snodgrass is his name. He works with Carter, and he does an excellent demo on aligning blades on your bandsaw. And he aligns the blade. A lot of stuff you read, I think it's just the same myth passed over and over. People read it and they think that's right, so they write it down again. But most of the stuff you'll read about bandsaw blades tells you to center the blade on the wheel. Well, Alex teaches you to center the gullet on the wheel. And the reason you do that, do we have a magic marker in the house?
There's one right back there behind John, the red one.
Yeah.
got it.
The wheels have a little bit of a crown in them. And if you center your blade, if you have a nice wide blade and you center it here, part of that blade, I'm looking at the sideways on the, part of that blade's hanging way out here in air. And that's what causes it to drift one way or the other. And a lot of us, myself included, years ago, figured, well, the bandsaw is going to drift. So we just adjust our fence to match the drift of the bandsaw. He adjusts the gullet so that the gullet's right here and the tooth just hangs out. The blade might be back here. It doesn't really matter. And a couple advantages. First, you don't have as much blade hanging out past the center of that wheel, the crown of the wheel. And second, when you go to change from one blade to the other, the gullet's going to be the same place in all of them. The only adjustment you have to make, you don't have to adjust anything except the roller or whatever you have on the back. And a sharp blade on my saw will not drift. I put it on, I cut square all the time. Now once Lee was out the other day and I try to get too much life out of my bandsaw blades.
We all do.
And it was doing a little bit of wobbling, but I know for a fact if I'd put a new blade on, you can just cut straight all day.
Oh, that's a good one, Jim, yeah.
That guy that does that also has a YouTube video. It's the same as what he does at the show. So if you can't make it to Baltimore, go on YouTube.
You'll throw away the instructions that came with your bandsaw once you learn to do it his way.
Okay. How about, yeah, so what was his name? Do you know his name?
Yeah, his name's Alex Snodgrass, and he's with Carter.
Yeah, I'll look that up. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, now, I know we asked about Larry if he brought any tools along, you know, because he's not here tonight. If he had any new tools, but I think Jim brought one, and that's this. Jim, if you'd like to explain.
I'm getting my exercise here, Jack.
Yes, yeah.
Demonstration is
It's Jim's. I'm following along.
Now this is something I do not normally use in my shop, a sneaker. Joe wasn't sure what a sneaker was earlier today.
Nope.
When you clean your disc sander or your belt sander, I use those these guys
Right
here.
here.
And that's what they're made for, and they work a lot better than this. But if you don't have that, and you can't find yours,
Take off your
you don't mind
sneaker.
working barefoot, you can take an old sneaker, and I'd used this one just before I came because I wasn't sure what the blue was going to, and they actually colored my sandpaper a little blue, so I got into the white part, and it just cleaned it right off. Maybe not quite as effective as this, but it does work in a pinch. And if, like I said, if you don't have one of these, or you can't find yours, I think I've got 4 of them, and every once in a while I can't find mine either. But this will clean your disc or your belt.
flip flops work too.
Ah,
Flip-flops.
there you go, flip flops.
We got another comment.
Yeah, for the wine drinkers, the rubber
Yep.
stoppers.
The synthetic wine corks.
They probably work as good as,
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if did you hear that one, rubber wine stoppers?
Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good too. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Am I gonna be back up here again?
The root canals.
Jim, the last one would be, it's your machine.
Oh, yeah. A lot of us are reluctant to damage, well, what we think is damage our machines. And I've been in people's shops, and I've been on these shop tours, and, well, how do you like that? Well, it's real nice, except I wish it had this. Well, it's your machine. Give it that. You know, if you need a place to hang your knockout bar and your machine doesn't have a spot, make something. Put it on. Drilling a hole and putting a bracket or a shelf on your machine or whatever you want to. Those machines, I don't care if I don't really think it's going to lower the value of that machine when it's sold. And when my machines are sold, I'm not really going to care anyhow, because I'm going to be.
When you going?
Not soon, Joe, but just
Yeah.
if you want to modify your machine, go ahead and do it. It's I think both Joe and I have upgraded the horsepower on our bandsaws.
Yep,
And
yep. It's your tools the same way with any tool,
Right.
really.
Yep.
Yeah, good one, Jim. Thanks. The old sneaker's okay. Now I know. All right. Okay. I don't know how many years this been. It's been a couple years ago, but John Huff, you're back there eating cookies. You gave us a little tip one time. If you had a bowl blank, a round bowl blank, and you want to turn it, and let's just say there's a mark or a big crack in it or something about there. Well, you could go ahead and put it on your lathe and turn it down. And you would only get about 7 inch. This is 11 inches across. You could only get a 7-inch bowl. Remember that, John? No, okay. Your tip. Okay, sorry, John. You're just the neighbors. Okay, I thought you guys shared. Okay. So, if you just move this from the center down to 1 inch, just about 1 inch or so, you can actually then put that center there and get a 9-inch bolt. See? So that's I used your tip, Murray, a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, really. That's a good tip I learned from a couple of years ago. Like I said, yeah, always stuck with me. And by the way, these discs, if you've ever been in my shop, I have a lot of these, different sizes, and that's how I bandsaw my pieces. I put them on my piece of wood, and then I put a screw in there, I leave it loose, and just bandsaw it around.
Along that same line, I've taken a thin piece of lucite plastic, and with a compass, drawn circles on that, so that when you're trying to lay out, if you've got a blank and you want to try to lay out where the best thing is, the problem with that is you can't see through them to get the best lay. So basically I've got a piece cut like this, and then I've got like 2-inch
segments, like you're just going around, like you're saving like 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, you know, it keeps going. Yeah.
And then you put holes in each one of those, and then halfway between each one of those, and you can draw your new...
Okay, good, thanks.
Joe, you also use those on long half rounds.
Yeah.
Cut them on the bandsaw. Just screw that to the round part.
Yeah.
Cut them out.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes if I have a piece of wood that's maybe not quite flat, I'll take and put a nail into one side that's low and rest the piece, because other than that it may be hanging down like that. So you rest the piece on the nail and now it's flat. So when you go around the bandsaw.
Did everybody understand what John just said? Could you hear him? Okay, Bert, he couldn't, but anyway, a round piece of wood, like we'll just say like a half round, if you put this on here, if the one's lower than the other, this will kind of angle like this. So when you go around the bandsaw, it makes it a little bit rougher to do. But John said if you put a nail or a screw to build it up, you could just put it on the level and then just go around the bandsaw. Thanks, John. A lot of times when you're working, especially with walnut and butternut, your hands will get stained, you know. So I always keep, if you come in my shop, you'll see, I always keep a bottle of lemon juice there. And I'll just pour lemon juice on my hands and it'll take the stain right off. Now, let's get into magnets. Magnets are, I got all kind of magnets in my shop and all around my lathe. I keep them, like, for example, I bought, I guess, a lot of Harbor Freight stuff, magnets that have hooks, and I might put my calipers on there. Magnets for, I put my tools on. Matter of fact, here's a magnet from Harbor Freight. Ooh. I screwed this to the wall and I keep my tools right on there and just take them off. So that,
on sale, you can get those things for like $2 a piece.
yeah, I mean, there's so many. Yeah, magnets are just great. I got all kinds all around.
Coupons for a free one.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, that's one thing I do. Murray, do you have something?
I have one of those under my CBN wheel.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah. Well, what Murray does, and I do anyway. I do this, Murray. I take an old plastic thing from when you buy a tool, put it in there, put it under your CBN wheel or something like that, and it'll get all the grit on there. Then you go ahead and take it to the garbage can and just lift that out there, and it'll just, the dust will fall right off. Yeah.
Joe, you can also get individual magnets out there off of there that are about 1.5 inches long. That's what that's made out of, is a whole series of magnets. Yep. And they're roughly 1.5 inches or 2 inches long. Mm-hmm. So this gives you the width of whatever that is, an inch or 3/4 of an inch, whatever it is, by 1.5 inches or 2 inches.
Yep.
You're look at it real close, you might be able to see where the break is at.
Yeah, you can. You can. Yeah. John was saying out at Harbor Freight, you can also buy, see this tool here, if you would look at it close, there's a bunch of magnets here. And they're about, let's just say 2 inches long. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And you can buy these individuals if you need to, you know.
But usually buying them individually, they end up being more expensive than that is.
Really? Wow.
You get a screwdriver underneath them, you can pop the epoxy loose, and then you can hide these things around your shop wherever you need to keep an Allen wrench or whatever. Now they're not nearly as powerful once you take them out of that, because that metal bar wrapped around it like triples the strength of that magnet.
Oh, is that right?
If you put a magnet in that's why you get like the little cups, the little steel cups with the center in them, and you stick a magnet in them. That cup, that steel cup, focuses the magnet, and it makes it even stronger than it normally would be by itself.
Yeah. The only problem with this, I guess it comes from overseas or something, but they're not 16 on center. But anyway, you can drill your own holes, you know. No problem with that.
I have one of those small magnets that's out of there that I put up on top of the lathe up here. And whenever I'm doing pen turning, I take the bushing and just throw up against that, so they always hold that.
Oh, okay.
And that magnet stays on top of the machine.
Good.
And you can get them free dishes with a magnet on the bottom, they're handy. Oh, right there.
These are, so this is my, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I do, John. I put it up there, and I put them anywhere, you know, and I put little stuff and all kinds of things on there. What I like to do is also, I have, I don't know, but let's just say about 8 different, you know, chuck jaws. I keep them in there, and then I can look on the side here, and I like this says 35 millimeter. I know what chuck it is when I go find it. Then I can take them out, and it'll tell me, and I also put the size on there. Like for the 35 millimeter, it goes from 1 3/16 to 1 7/8. So it's a time saver, and these don't roll around, and you can find them quick. So yeah, these trays, as a lot of people know, are great, and you can get these free, and they're also what, $2 or $3 a piece, maybe. Something like that.
The magnet on the back of that's a ring magnet. It's just dipped in rubber. So the center's hollow. And if you drill a hole in that cup, then you can screw it to the inside of a door of a cabinet.
Ah, okay.
Cabinet that you keep stuff in. You just put like 8 or 10 of them on the inside of the door, and then you just put stuff up there. Yeah,
that's, this is good having these tips and talking like this, because you learn a lot of things, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I love these things. And while you're at Harbor Freight, I always like to get a metal cart there. I don't mean always. I got a couple of metal carts with 3 shelves in them with nice wheels. I wheel them around. A lot of you guys have been in my shop, and you can keep a lot of stuff. You can keep a lot of these magnetic stuff on there, and it really comes in handy, I'll tell you. All right, let's go to Hobby Lobby. These craft sticks, and this, I guess it's foam, they call it silly winks, I have no idea. But anyway, I buy these, and you can put, like, for example, when you're doing, if you want to put CA glue on with, for a finish for an ink pen, they, you know, put your CA glue on there, and while it's turning, just go right along there. It's really, really nice to use. And then I buy these bigger sheets, and you can cut them to whatever size you want. But these are, I really like to use these. You guys, have anybody used this at all for CA glue or anything?
I use that big one. The bigger ones are cheaper at Walmart.
Oh, is that right? Okay. You say you do, Nick?
Sheets? Yeah, the sheets that are that size.
Yeah. The only thing is I think I was trying some light wood, and I think I had a blue one of these, and it did transfer the color over. I didn't like that, so that's why I do white a lot.
What
Yep.
material is that, Joe?
It's just foam stuff,
Okay.
foam sheets.
Joe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And you can buy these sticks. There's a bag of sticks. You know, there's all kind. I guess it's for kids to. Do you guys know what they're for? You don't do them? Sam, you don't do nothing with them neither? Wonder what they're for.
So where'd you get those at?
Hobby Lobby.
They're just crafts, they're just craft foam.
Just craft foam that you make crafts or whatever, like turkey feathers and okay. Yeah.
Or if you have a chicken, you want to check its tonsils?
Joe?
That was really good.
Hey guys, listen.
Bring up that sheet. One of the things on my workbench when I'm using epoxy, it has a tendency to get on the bench and you have to clean it up. I use any placemats that are left over, or I go to Dollar Tree and get them for $1. Lay that on top of the workbench.
Workbench,
your
yep.
epoxy
Yeah.
flops on that, but maybe you're neater than I am, but
What I do is, no, I'm sloppier maybe, but anyway, what I do is, did you hear what Murray had to say about super glue or something like that, or epoxy or whatever, will drip right on your workbench? I take a piece of Formica. I got all kinds of Formica, and I use them all over the place. Matter of fact, I use a piece of Formica on my ways of my bed if I'm doing some oiling on there, because it'll drip. So, yep.
The other thing you use on there is if you can get a hold of a piece of rubber roofing, cut it down to the size you want it, and
EPDM.
then there's 2 different grades of that, so you get the thin, which is easier to handle.
Yeah, good, good. Okay, now here's a 1-inch PVC pipe. What I do with that is I'll cut it. I think you do something like this, Jim, didn't you? Oop. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you didn't break it.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I think you did something like this, Jim, made sizes. Was that PVC or what did you have? I forget.
I think we did PVC.
Yeah, I think so. But if you want for different sizes, in other words, you want to put that in there instead of fooling around. You want to use a very dead on a scraper or something like that. You go ahead and you want to cut this to this size, and then put that right down on there and lock her up. It really comes in handy. I went ahead and I've made, I don't know, a number of sizes. That you need something like dead on, like your hollowing tool and all. And I have different sizes for different hollowing tools, and it comes in handy. And then, okay. I use a lot of this drawer liners. Or I think for throw rugs, you put them underneath there and so you don't slide. But I use a lot of this. I don't know where I got these at. I got a bunch of them, rolls of them, and I cut them to whatever I need to use them for. And if I have a piece that's like finished, a bowl or something like that, I don't want to lay it on dirty wood or anything like that. I'll just lay it right down on there. Of course, it's got to be dry, but it protects your finish. Also, what I use them for is I cut them and I use them to when bottles get stuck in these tools, but it's good for gripping.
Bottle stopper remover.
Bottle stopper remover.
When you turn a bottle stopper on the screw, sometimes they get really tight.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to.
Yeah. Yeah. Pickles? Rod said he used these for pickles, so you're going to. Okay.
You also can get smaller ones of that Dollar Tree for roll some.
Oh, is that right? Oh, you mean drawer liners? Yeah, at Dollar Tree. Yeah. Yeah, they're cheap.
It's not as heavy as that, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I bet they would, yeah. And I don't.
It's good to just laying flat on your table when you're sanding if you've got it.
Yeah.
You won't have to hold on a piece. Just
I keep a piece of that on my downdraft table.
Or if you're routing.
Stuff from sliding around on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, or for, like somebody said, routing. I've done that before. You route something on there. Yeah, this is good stuff for all kind of different things like that. Yeah, with this in mind, well, I got this bottle here. I don't know if you guys use much tung oil at all, but the problem with tung oil is it wants to, what's that stuff called when it gets all on top?
Separates.
It's junky stuff, bad stuff. So anyway, but if you bring it up to the top, when air hits it, in other words, that's when you get all that crappy stuff. So you have a jar like this where you can put your pad in there and put your tung oil on, and then what I do is take some water and you just pour it in there, and see the water goes down to the bottom, and all that junky stuff goes down to the bottom. And now you want to use your tung oil. It comes up top and it's fresh. So I've been doing this. And by the way, these were always getting tight on me, so I had to pour, I had to get some time, put it under hot water, and I had a heck of a time undoing this until my wife, a non-turner, said, why don't you just put Vaseline around here? Duh. Okay. It works great.
Piece of wax paper under the cap will do the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good idea. Yep.
I've tried the Vaseline, and inevitably I get it on whatever I'm trying to apply.
Joe, do you know if that worked with friction polish?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. You can try that, yeah.
It's not no salad bowl thing. That's what salad bowl thing is notorious for drying up.
Oh, is that right?
Well, they have that spray,
Rod.
spray in the top of a lot of things to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
What was first brought up is Rod said, is that going to work, that putting the water in a salad bowl finish? Would anybody know that? Would the water hurt it? Try it, seriously, try it and see. Get yourself a little jar. Get yourself a little jar. And try that. That could be a good solution. John said, and I used to do this, John said, put the can upside down or the bottle upside down. I used to, but then when you still bring it back up, it just kind of got a kind of a mess.
Whatever will form over,
Yeah.
and when you turn it back up, your stuff is still up at the top yet.
Yeah, that's what I was having problems with, John, but I know what you mean. I used to do that a lot. But I'll tell you, that water works great. It does.
I've used marbles.
Marbles. Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. But you'd have to get a lot of marbles in there, but I guess you could do it. Yeah. Just keep going. Yeah.
I did that for years, Maureen, and I lost all my marbles.
I don't know where mine is.
And let's see here. While I'm at Hobby Lobby, I buy a lot of bottles. But a lot of different sizes. Whenever we buy from John here, the super glue, that comes in 8-ounce bottles.
Yeah. Yes, that comes in
8-ounce bottles. So what I do, I buy 1.5-inch bottles. Inch and an ounce 1.5 ounce bottles, and they're smaller than this. But then I keep them, they're the different sizes, your medium and thin and heavy, and then keep the rest of it in a refrigerator. But John, how long do you think I would stay in a refrigerator?
Certainly more than a year.
Yeah, I know. I had mine in. Of course, I use mine up a lot, but that comes in handy. And I just put it on my shelf, and the little bottles come out instead of using a big bottle. I also use these for when I mix up my friction polish, sanding sealer, all kind of stuff. You know, you just shake it and you have it.
I have little bitty bottles.
Yeah.
Half ounce, 1 ounce, and 2 ounce.
To sell as super glue. Yeah, but it's more cost savings to buy it in the bigger one, right? Yeah. Yeah.
They're all $1 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they fit those little extensions if you want to use them.
Mm-hmm. And what I also do is buy I got bottles of this. I have ones with alcohol in it where you want to spray something and want to see what any scratches is on your bowl or something. I keep water also to raise the grain. And what I do is I buy the gallon cans of WD-40, and then I put WD-40 in these and spray them whenever I need for my bed. Doesn't look like that, and that's a shame. We should do something about that someday. But comes in handy buying all these different bottles at Hobby Lobby and all. With that in mind, you can make your own sanding sealer. You can go ahead and get 1 ounce of shellac and 4 ounces of denatured alcohol, and you have your own sanding sealer instead of buying it. Also, cost savings is friction polish. You get 1 ounce of boiled linseed oil, 1 ounce of denatured alcohol, and 1 ounce of shellac, and you have yourself some friction polish. Who's that guy on YouTube does that? I know you know him, Bill. Not Doctor, but we've all seen him probably. That one fella.
Captain
Eddie.
Captain Eddie, yeah. One of the things that I like to do also, I'm sure a lot of you guys do, is when you get your sawdust, like this is cherry, you got walnut, anything you do, you keep a bag of sawdust in there, and then that way if you have a crack or some type of marred scrape or anything like that in your bowl, I should say an indentation or something like that, you can use super glue or regular glue, and super glue actually, and put this in there. And then it'll match your wood pretty good. And you can also use, if you have a crack or something like that, you can use coffee grounds, or you can use charcoal sticks, a little bit of anything.
Some people use coffee grounds to build up a natural edge bowl. If you have a space that's missing or something, they'll put coffee grounds.
Oh, okay.
Again, with super glue.
Yeah, if you guys heard that, like a natural edge bowl, sometime it'll have a little a crack or a see-through problem area there. John says he goes ahead and puts coffee grounds in there and super glue, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I like to do, I don't know if you guys do, if there's a crack in a bowl or something like that, because if you put super glue right on a crack of your wood and then you finish it, that's going to shine up. I don't know if you guys ever got into that. So, what's that?
It'll turn white.
Yeah. So what I like to do is say, like, for example, I'm going to use tung oil. So you put tung oil on that crack, then you sand it, and then when you sand it like that, that'll build up some sawdust in the crack. And then I'll put super glue right in that area, real fine. Then I'll sand it again, real fine. And that works really well. Yeah. I read that somewhere, so give that a try, or have you tried something like that? But, yeah.
Use conditioner, wood conditioner. put that on, around the thing,
Around the crack or something?
around the crack, and then put
There's super glue in there. Yeah, do you sand it then, or just leave it?
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I meant before the finish and stuff, but, you know, yep. Oh, yeah, cold chuck. Everybody knows what well, maybe you don't. Cold chuck. Right. You have these here little holders. Your bowl goes in here, and sometimes maybe the bowl will come out with you might have a longer piece, you want a better grip. So what I'll do is I'll get a threaded rod, a threaded bolt, the same, and I don't even know what they are, but the same, it's metric. Same matching threads there. And then what I'll do is get a piece of rubber hose, and I'll cut it to size, and then when it's sticking in there, you know, for example, that's that much size that you can use. Or if you have something that's oblonged or something.
They can't see that in the back.
See this? Yeah. Yep, thanks. Yep. And see, that way, if you put that in there, it gives you much more area for your bowl if you need it. Also, I've done this too. You want something a little thicker? Get yourself some cork. Drill a hole in the cork.
Drink a lot of wine.
And you have that. There's John, he drinks a lot of wine, did you say? And
Synthetic
yeah.
wine
Yeah.
works good.
What does it?
Synthetic, not cork, but synthetic
Cork? Synthetic cork?
wine stock. Wine.
Oh, synthetic. Well, where would I get that at?
Go to homebrewforless.com. You can buy a whole bag of the things for $10. You get like
Okay.
40 of them in a bag.
I happen to have a friend who just recently passed away, but who had a winery. So I just asked him for some synthetic wine corks, and he brought me a whole bag of them.
Synthetic wine
Yeah,
corks.
it's a composite, or I don't know what it is, but it's not cork. Yep.
Okay, it's not
You
cork.
You draw it through the same way,
throwing
you
them
just
away
get a
for
long
years.
bolt with the right thread.
Yeah. Well, Nick, you can throw them my way from now on, okay?
Joe,
Yes.
Bob Daniel taught me that if you have a bowl in there that's not round, to make up the space that's left, cut off the fingers of a glove and drop those over, and then it makes up the space. So,
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. Sorry, got to get out of the camera here, I guess. I was missing one of these. By the way, you know, you can, for this box of stuff here, you can look through and sign up. You can, you know, borrow this for a month. See how it works. We got a bunch of stuff here from the club. To clean bandsaw blades and table saw blades and whatever, I use oven cleaner. Oven cleaner, that works really well. And then I leave it on there for I don't know how long, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know. Then I take an old toothbrush and I go ahead and take the toothbrush all over it. Then I go ahead and take my sink and water it down, you know, rinse it off, I should be saying. Yep. Does anybody have any ideas of how they do it to clean their teeth
I
up?
do the same way, but when you're done, you gotta immediately dry it and then spray it with WD-40, otherwise it'll rust.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
Because once
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're taking all the oil off of it when you
Mhm.
put the oven cleaner on.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yep. Yep. Does anybody have anything else?
I'll go with you right now.
Okay, John, if you can stand up here and talk to,
You had like that little 2-inch flexible disc from.
Yeah.
Okay, they also make that in a short, hard surface.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to try to go over something and keep the surface pretty flat, it may be something to consider. Another thing I'll do with either one of those, if I want to do quite a bit of sanding instead of trying to hold that little bitty thing, I'll take and put my drill chuck on there. Okay, just put it in the drill chuck, and now you have a handle, so to speak. Just making sense.
He puts
Where's your drill
that
chuck?
in his drill.
I put that in my drill chuck.
Yeah.
You know, the normal chuck that goes on the lathe. You have a drill chuck? Yeah, there you go. Here's a big one over here. No, okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I'll put it in the chuck.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now, of course, my drill chuck is smaller than that. It's only
Mm-hmm.
½ inch. I guess
Sure.
that must be 5/8 or 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I use that sort of as a handle. And plus, it's also a weight, especially if I'm doing the bottom of a bowl. There'll be some weight there to put pressure on,
Yes.
down on the pad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just
Yeah.
holding the,
Just holding that
holding
in
Jacob's chuck.
Yeah, just holding that in the chuck, it just gives me a better surface to hang on to as I'm working.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another old favorite, and I think I've said this before about leveling up the bed of a drill press, use a coat hanger. Bend it in the form of a Z or whatever you want to call it, 90 degrees or any angle at all, it doesn't matter. And then spin it around, and no matter whether your lathe, your drill press is sitting any angle at all, your bed's going to be in proper alignment with the chuck.
Yeah. That's a good one, John. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll take and use like a fewer gauge underneath the wire, so I leave a little bit of space there, and this way it'll be I can better gauge which way to turn it or which way to move the bed.
Okay, guys, in closing.
Here, I got one.
Okay. Steve, what do you got?
Y'all know what this is, right?
Mm.
Everybody got one?
Yeah.
You know what that is. So anybody that does segmenting, when you're setting your sled, you cut an entire test ring. Why not? You know what your angle's supposed to be. Cut one piece. Zero this on a flat surface. Set that on the surface, and then pick it up and set it on your piece. You cut one piece. You don't have to cut an entire test ring. So I started doing that, and I had a bunch of useless test rings that didn't fit. 6 segments, 8 segments, whatever. But that'll get you really, really close, and all you got to do is cut one segment.
Steve, where do you get them at?
That's a Wixie. You can get them at actually, I've seen these at Harbor Freight, but they're an off-brand name. Woodcraft has them. There's a couple of different brands, but you can
Grizzly,
get them.
Craft
Grizzly,
Supply.
Yeah, oh, they're
It's called a
handy.
Wixie.
Are they?
I love it.
Table saw,
I
blade, your angle.
No.
Yep, set my table saw blade.
Handsaw.
You can use this to set your drill press, like you were talking about, to tram in your drill press or something like that. That's what it's called, is tramming it in to make sure your table's square.
Yes.
Zero that on your table. Take who's got any knockout punches or the center punches? They sell them now to take pins apart.
Yeah, I got a group of them, yep.
Put one of those in your drill press chuck. Zero that on your table, and then pick it up and stick it to the side. Keep it in the same plane and stick it to the side of your drill of that pin that's
On the-
sticking out of your chuck.
10 to the table.
That against your drill or whatever you have in the chuck first,
Or any of it.
and then put it on the bed maybe.
Either way works.
Okay.
Either way works, because you're going to get the offset, the difference between the two angles. And as long as you zero it on the table or on the chuck and you move it and it reads 90 degrees, you're good to go. And then you take it and you turn it 90 degrees, do it that way, and then stick it back on there, and you can see if the table's tilted from there. If your table's drooping or something like that. If you've ever had a problem with an older drill press or something that's got quite a bit of age, or a cheaper one, and you know your table is square, It rocks side by side, and most of them spin, but there's not a lot of adjustment for the droop. But you can't figure out why you can't drill a straight hole, but you know you're square in one direction. You can check it and see if maybe you need to shim your table up in the front or back.
Okay, well, thanks, Steve. Great.
I got tired of cutting entire test rings when I changed the angle on my sled.
How long does your battery last on that?
This battery, I've had this about 6 years, and this I've put one battery in it.
'Cause I bought one of the early ones.
They will go absolutely freaking nuts when the batteries get low in these things.
Yeah. I bought one of the first ones.
They will read all kinds of weird angles. You can take it and zero it and pick it up and do it like this and then set it down and it won't be zeroed anymore. And they go freaking crazy.
Thanks,
But
Steve.
that was something that I learned it the hard way, because I cut a 24 segment ring thinking I was right and wasted all that wood. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay, guys.
You're talking about batteries. If you need batteries for, among other things, your calipers and so forth, order them off the internet. You get 10 of them for, I'm going to say to you, for the calipers, 10 of them for $1, $1.10, $1.25, somewhere or another in that range. So therefore, they're extremely cheap, and they're good.
How about the ones out of Harbor Freight? Are they any good? No?
I don't know, I never bought them, but what's the price of them?
Well, you can get them free if you have the coupon.
Yeah.
No, you're
Talking about
talking
batteries
about
or
the
calipers?
I bought those batteries too,
Oh.
and they
Did Harbor Freight no good?
Some of them will last, and some of them are dead when you take them out of the package.
Yeah.
I replace a lot of watch batteries for my friends, and therefore I have all different size batteries for the the fobs for your car, whatever. I think that's called a fob. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I get 5 of them for like $1.35 or something like that, and anyhow, buy them off the internet. I get the cheapest ones are on there. And they've always lasted pretty good.
Yeah, good. Thanks, John. Good. I'm going to leave with the laws of wood turning. I've read this before, but it's interesting, and there is laws to this, and that is the tool must be on the tool rest before the whirling timber is engaged, and must remain so whenever the tool is in contact with the wood. You've got to go and get your tool on that tool rest. If you don't, you will know what happens, and that is a law. Another law is the bevel. The grinding angle of the cutting tool must rub the wood behind the cut. Another one is the only part of the tool that should be in contact with the wood is that part of the tool receiving direct support from the tool rest. Because if you go out too far, you can have a catch. Always cut downhill, which means cut with the grain. Scrapers must be kept perfectly flat in section on the tool rest and present in the trailing mode, like the tool handle should be higher than the tool edge, the cutting edge, or you'll have a catch. Here's some, now there's another way to using the a scraper, but that's a whole different ball game. We'll get into that sometime. We'll have a demo. And I'll leave you with some humorous stuff. You can always make it smaller, right? It's only wood, and you can burn it at any stage. And if you guys have any wood that you want to get rid of, and it's too small for you to use, stick it in a cereal box and give it to Joe whenever you come here. I burn that, so anyway, when you come to your meetings, I'll gladly take them from you.
Failed projects equal heat.
Yes. Catches are not problems, but rather artistic opportunities. And this is the one I don't like at all, and that is the longer it has been since you had a catch, the closer you are going to have one. Nobody gets it right the first time. Practice may not make you perfect, but it certainly produces a lot of shavings. And if you're not having fun, you're probably doing something wrong. Guys, have fun when you're turning. And by the way,
I'll give you another thing.
Yeah.
I was turning a cherry bowl, and all of a sudden, not paying attention, take the tool up, there's two marks in my bowl. Now what the heck I do? Because I was down probably even in the 3/16 inch range at that time. There's 2 chunks of wood out of my bowl, and other than that, it's pretty well finished except for final sanding. So I was wondering what the heck I could do with this here. So I took my little Dremel saw or Dremel drill. I don't have a regular wood cutter of any kind, so I just use my Dremel, and I have some cutters that are on there that can cut down as well as across any way you want to go. And anyhow, I took and cut this thing out sort of in the form of a knot. Got some wood filler through in there. Okay, now of course the wood filler doesn't match. It would either be too light or it wouldn't have been too dark. There was no way it could be too dark. At least I couldn't find any wood filler that was dark as I wanted it. So what I did is I had some cherry stain sitting around the house. So I put this wood filler in there, and of course it was a stainable type of wood filler. Got my cherry stain out, reached down in the very bottom of it, picked up some of the, is that called pigment, in the bottom, and put over top of the stain. It stained it dark enough that there's knots on the inside of my bowl, but they don't go the whole way through.
Good,
Actually,
wasn't
I asked there was some wood turners. What do you think? Shame those knots are there. Yeah, it is. Well, they aren't really knots. They're wood filler.
And the last one is remember this, when things happen on the lathe, they happen fast. You get a catch or something like that, or the bowl jumps off your lathe or something like that, or out of the chuck. It does happen fast. It gives you no warning.
All right,
So guys, yeah, thank you.